They say you can tell when something breaks, when love starts to rot, but sometimes it happens in silence. No crashes. No slammed doors. Just a shift so subtle, you miss it until the truth walks through your front door, and it smells like someone else. Ryan never thought of himself as the jealous type. He was a level-headed guy, loyal, calm, the kind of man who believed that trust was earned, and once earned, you didn't go poking around for trouble. He'd been married to Alyssa for 5 years. 5 solid years. She was full of quirks, sang off-key in the shower, talked to plants like they were her co-workers, danced while cooking, but that's what he loved about her. She made life feel unscripted. Kids weren't in the cards. Alyssa had some health issues that made it complicated, and Ryan never pressured her. If anything, it brought them closer. Their nights were often quiet, full of long talks, lazy cuddles, and shared playlists. She worked night shifts as a nurse at the downtown clinic. Ryan had your standard Monday through Friday desk job in IT. Their schedules didn't overlap much during the week, but they made the most of their weekends. Late breakfasts, spontaneous road trips, wine under string lights on the balcony. It all felt stable, unshakable. Until one night, when the foundation cracked without warning. It was their shared day off. Ryan had gone full Nicholas Sparks mode. Candlelit dinner, soft jazz floating in the background, her favorite wine breathing on the counter. He even cooked real food, not box stuff. The apartment glowed warm. It felt like something big was supposed to happen. Like maybe, despite everything, they'd talk about adoption. Maybe they'd turn a corner. But Alyssa walked in like someone who didn't belong in that story. Her eyes didn't light up at the scene. She wore a half smile, distracted and distant. "Babe," she said softly, not quite meeting his eyes, "they called me in for an emergency overnight shift." She was already stepping into her scrubs. Ryan's stomach tightened, but he nodded. She'd never had last-minute shift changes before, but hospitals could be unpredictable. He told himself not to read into it. Still, when she left, the wine tasted sour. Hours passed. He watched a movie. Then another. Tried to sleep, but couldn't. Something about the silence felt too loud. Around midnight, a knock broke through the quiet. He opened the door, and there she was. Alyssa. Same woman. Different energy. She looked flushed, almost glowing, and not in the overworked nurse kind of way. Her hair was tousled like she'd just left a bar, not a hospital. And worse, there was perfume. Not hers. A kind he'd never smelled on her. It clung to her like a secret. "Hey," she giggled, stepping in and kicking off heels she hadn't been wearing when she left. He stared. "I thought you had a shift," he said flatly. She blinked, then launched into her explanation. Something about the shift getting cancelled, not wanting to ruin his plans, so she went to meet up with a friend. The words rolled out too clean, like she'd practiced them. He didn't argue. Didn't shout. Just nodded. Quiet. When she went to the shower, he followed with her clothes to toss in the wash. That's when the world tilted. Stains on her lingerie. Smudges of lipstick he didn't wear. A reality so obvious, it left no room for denial. He threw the clothes into the washer, hands shaking. Pulled the curtain open. She turned with a gasp, water pouring down, eyes wide. "What's your deal?" she snapped, her voice defensive. "I know," he said simply. "Talk." And just like that, Alyssa folded. No tears. No pleas. Just sat down on the edge of the tub, elbows on knees, and said it like she was reading a grocery list. "It's been going on a while. His different. Makes me feel alive." Ryan didn't move. Didn't breathe. "You're a good man," she added, "but too steady. I can't live in predictable forever." Then she dropped the worst part. "I love you. I'm not leaving. But I'm not giving him up either. I want both." Ryan stood in silence for a full beat before walking out. He grabbed every piece of her clothing, her makeup bag, her favorite boots, and threw it all off their third-floor balcony. Then he opened the door. She stood dripping in a towel, stunned. "Go." She left. No drama. No screaming match. Just the end of something once sacred. The next few days were brutal. The apartment echoed with emptiness. No clatter in the morning. No humming from the kitchen. Just stillness. The silence pressed against Ryan's ribs like a weight. But slowly, he began to breathe again. Alone, yes, but honest. He started walking after work. Not far. Just around the block to feel air on his face and remember what movement felt like. That's when he met her. Megan. She was chasing after a kid, maybe 6, who had dropped his toy in the street. Ryan helped. She smiled. Introduced herself and her son, Caleb. Recently divorced. Figuring things out. The conversation was easy, effortless. No expectations, no awkward tension. Then they started bumping into each other. At the grocery store. In the park. Even once at the dog wash. It felt orchestrated by something larger than coincidence. Ryan moved carefully. He wasn't ready for romance, not fully. But Megan never rushed him. She never asked about his past. She just showed up, kind, warm, steady in a way that felt right. Months passed. Ryan laughed again. Not the fake kind you do when people ask if you're okay, but real, from the gut laughter. His apartment didn't feel like a grave anymore. It felt like home again. Then one night, the past came knocking, this time by phone. Unknown number. He almost let it go to voicemail. But curiosity won. Hello. A pause. Then, Ryan, it's me. Alyssa. He said nothing. I know you don't want to hear from me. I have no one else. He stayed silent. I'm pregnant, she whispered. He left. Said I'm too much. Said I'm old news. Ryan's heart raced, but not with longing, with fury. Not my problem, he said, ice in his voice. You made your choice. I'm not asking for anything, she sniffled. Just, forgive me. If you can. He hung up. That was it. No storm of rage. No regret. Just finality. Later that night, he stood by the window, letting the breeze hit his face. The ache had faded, burned out in silence and solitude. All that remained were memories. But he realized something then: memories don't get to chain you. They don't get to define you. The next weekend, he called Megan. Want to go for a walk? He asked. She paused, then smiled through the phone. We'd love that. As he waited on the front step, Ryan took a deep breath and smiled. Because sometimes, when everything you thought you needed falls apart, the universe nudges you toward something simpler. Something real. Not flashy. Not dramatic. Just love. And this time, he would walk forward hand in hand with someone who saw him, who chose him, and who never smelled like someone else.